Just as a quick introduction and talk a little bit about, what you facilitate for that different times, then we'll just kind of go into the agenda.
Okay, perfect, thanks. Hi, everyone, my name is Natasha. I'm a social worker, and I'm a social manager for the Salt Lake City Fire Department. We have a neighborhood for about 2 years in now. We have a neighbor social program called the Community Health Access Team. And so we pair social workers with firefighters to respond out on 911 call. And there are specific calls that, as soon as they're coded as a substance related call, whether that's a intoxication, overdose, whatever it is, or a mental health related call, and then any type of traumatic event, cardiac, or anything like that, then we'll have our social workers respond out on those calls automatically so that they can be there to do an assessment, hopefully divert the hospital if they don't need that, the appropriate resources and supports. And then we also have a team of social workers and firefighters that work out of the public safety buildings, and they take referrals. Right now, our referrals are coming from our own firefighters, and then also the Blue Cross. Because Blue Cross has the alternative transport, whether they get paid or not. They're doing it is to do with our patients. So those can get into mental health, taken back to the resource centers, whatever it is that they're going to use, all of that for that transport. So Ben and I have been communicating. I've been trying to help, and I let him down today greatly, so I will redeem myself. But really, we're trying to partner more with city groups and community members where, hey, we don't always have to call 911, or if you do, you can specifically request social workers, and our team will be sent out on those calls. So again, you can get the right resources that support that. So we'll see.
How do we get in touch with you?
Yeah, that is the best way right now, is through 911. And so I am trying to be available in different ways, but like today, we had a total disconnect, and I couldn't get a team together, someone who needed it. But 911 is the best option, and if you just say, hey, is the chat program available, or the chat social worker is available, if you say that, they know to attack us, and then our firefighters, not the truck or the engine, potentially, depending on what you're describing, if it is something more medical. But if it comes in, hey, I have a guy on my street corner, something's not going on, really needs help, they'll just code that appropriately, get social workers out in the SUV. So it's not like the big ladder trucks and everything coming out, it's a little more subtle as we're starting out.
Is it spelled CHAT?
Yeah, Community Health Access Team.
Great. I think you might be something to share.
How many people are on your team?
So there's 7, including me.
All located centrally?
Yes, so, well, we cover Salt Lake City as a whole. And so we have social workers Monday through Saturday with firefighters at Station 5, so 9th and 9th there by the whale. And then pretty much the opposite, so at Station 6, which I think is like 8th and 9th on the west side. So that's where we have our social worker station, and then we have a team at the public safety building as well. So they'll cover the entire city, and then our crews can request this as well. So they go out, it comes in as a cardiac issue, they get out there, it's a panic attack or whatever it is, or they're withdrawing, whatever's causing the symptoms, or mimicking something medical, and then they can request us, and we'll come up and assess and try and get the right resources.
Today when I called the non-emergency number, and I asked specifically for the chat team. They said that they could not direct my call to the chat team, but that they could find out if somebody was free and give them a message to call me back. Which is why I ended up going to, they said they could transfer me directly to the police social worker. So that's why I ended up leaving a message for her.
Okay.
When she called me back, she also seemed to be a little bit confused as to why it is that dispatch did that. And I know traditionally when I've called dispatch, it's a little bit hit and miss on whether or not things get.
Yeah.
So, now that we're kind of in a public forum, and everybody knows that don't expect it to go perfectly smooth every time you go through dispatch. And then also, like, let's try to be, follow up with dispatch and make sure that they are doing things properly and they can learn from these things, and then we can have a better flow in the future.
Yeah.
Would that have gone better if he called 911 rather than the
We've probably gone to the same on this, so we kind of gone in ways, and I think also a lot of that just has to do with kind of more staffing and training issues, right? We went through this a while ago, and they're like, it's resolved, all our dispatchers know, it sounds like it's not resolved at this point, so I'll follow up. But it should ideally, and I've seen it work, where someone just calls, like, one, for example, was the Weekend Center. Is everyone familiar with the Weekend Center? Okay, it's a center where people can go down and get meals, they can get case management services, it's kind of a day center. Has incredible resources. So the weekend had called me directly and I was like, hey, just go ahead and call dispatch, call 911, ask me that. And they got us out there, like it came through on my phone, over the announcement, like it came through. I will follow up, it should work.
Yeah, and you know, I almost feel like inspired to go talk to the people that are answering the phones and just be like, I want to stress to them just how really important this is. You know, we all kind of get into our regular routines, we kind of go, you know, a job is a job, and sometimes lose sight of just how important some of these jobs are. And I'd like them to have a lot of pride.
Yeah.
That they're doing great things.
Yeah, no, they are, and we have some incredible dispatchers, I would guess this is just a great. Yeah, and if that ever happens, please, and I can try and share, I don't know if that's free to share, like.
We could actually schedule out like, where next meeting, you could possibly share some details.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, but we'd really like to have like a continuing relationship where we can schedule touching base and speak whatever it is that's happening this month or whatever.
Yeah, no, I would love that as well, and I was just gonna say, too, like, I can share my email, I don't know if that's gonna do that, but I can share my email in my work cell. Because if issues do arise, like, for example, I would love to hear about it, I will call them.
Okay, yeah, we've already got that information, too,
Yeah.
so I can.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I'm saying, you know, that. All right, so what we're gonna do is, we're gonna get started. You can just see everyone on the agenda, I'm just making sure. What we're gonna do is do brief introductions, talk about the purpose of the meeting. Recap the achievements of the group. We're 6 months now, we're at a good point. I think we're getting attention from the government, we're making things happen on our block. And then from there, what we're gonna do is in the next little bit of time, kind of focus on some measurable goals, maybe like 3 major ones that the group would like to see. Based on in the introduction, I'm just gonna ask, why are you here? Like, what brings you to this group? What is an issue that you care about? And then the main thing we want to kind of look into from there is the actual selections of roles and responsibilities. So thinking about it as a community group, how we can kind of all have some kind of engagement, some kind of piece that's interesting to them with the group. And so if you take a look at the rest of the agenda today, we have different kind of roles thinking about what we might want to do. So for example, if you're interested in the safety, there might be a role for you on this. Just want to bring up one other thing. We have a map here. I think everyone that you two, have looked at, but essentially we're also trying to determine this last agenda item, which is discussion on geographic areas. Where our group expands and where it doesn't. And this is flexible as projects come up. But if you look at this, and obviously it's flat on the table, and I can see it, but you can kind of look at it with binoculars.
We can pick it up.
Yeah, I guess so. Let's see if I can pick it up. So I'm gonna bring it from here. No one's on Zoom as of right now. So if I can get back further on now and see if you can say, but you know you're blocked. Essentially, right now, 1 south and 3rd east seems to be where most people are living. In addition, a group of us got together and we kind of identified these as blocks themselves. So we looked at 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and it's possible areas to look at. One of the things this will help us do is also look at. So that allows us to know where we're going to target people that are going to be businesses, renters, owners, anybody who works and lives and plays in our area, who cares about the community and wants to be part of it. So this right here is sort of the discussion we'll kind of move with. Anything we don't get to today, we can always email and push that conversation forward. And that is the last one. So now we can get thanks. We're just putting on them rather than on the board since the board's kind of sensitive. Are you at the Hollywood as well?
Yeah, we're going.
Oh, I got ready to.
Damn it, you guys.
Yeah. So just quick introductions, my name is Justin Connie, and I live at the club, so 150 South River East. The reason I really care, companies being in what makes me motivated is just be organized a little bit. So that, when I see someone in need, or I see an issue that I'd like to be addressed, I like to see our neighborhood actually having a dialogue, being more organized. We live downtown, it's very anonymous, a lot of people work, play here, don't live here, come to visit. And so I think having some kind of like group that can just get together and share values and ideas is what really brings me together. So I'm gonna put on there kind of organized my day. And so what I'd like you to do is we introduce ourselves, your name, where you live, and then like one thing that brings you here, what brought you here today? And I'll start with this side.
Well, hi, my name's Aaron. Oh, okay. Well,
Hi, Aaron.
we're here in the Hollywoods, which is up on the other side. But generally, we're renters, so we're here to support two owners who are active, but yeah, generally, we walk our dog a lot, and the idea of, like, yeah, oftentimes our dog is getting into things that she should not, and we've had to pull her away from needles, or from other vomit or things, so clean the streets is something about it.
Okay, great.
I forgot my glasses, but I can't see without.
I have a description.
My name's Ashley, I live in Hollywood, work here for Ben, and also we like our community, we like living here. And oh, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
to be a part of the community, I think, contribute positively.
Great, if I don't really know any fingers, I can do that.
I am Brent. I live in the club on 30s, along with Justin. And I moved in 2006. And I've seen the neighborhood kind of deteriorate in a lot of ways. And so that's why I want to be involved, to somehow figure out ways to make the neighborhood safer, more like a home for those of us who live there. That's it.
Hey, I'm Austin Taylor, and I don't live in this area. I'm in about 7th South and 4th East, so in Central City, but not in this area we're talking about. And I'm on the leadership group for Central City Neighborhood Council, which this group is, within the Central City boundaries, and so I like to stay involved and help out when I can. And like what I'm here to focus on, of course, is cleaning up 300 East, making it a safe and a place that feels safe, not only is safe, but feels safe to live, and then just coordinate between the two groups so we all can help each other out.
Yeah.
My name Ben, I would just like to have a neighborhood that we can all take pride in and love, where we all seem to share a sense of caring for all of the people. A lot of times it's difficult for people that are not living in that urban environment to understand how accepting our culture can be, and then to see that the problems that we have are somewhat unique to our area. It's difficult for people outside to understand. So it seems that we have much more caring people, while at the same time not always feeling like they can express that care, that they kind of feel like they have to turn away from things. So I just want to give people a sense of pride that they can be empowered to make a difference and to care about what they do.
We'll keep going. I'm Alan, I'm also in the Hollywood. A lot of the points have already been hit. I guess the thing I would say is I want to make sure we have a lot of folks that are unsheltered, that are up and down our street a lot. And that they're getting connected with the resources that can help them. Okay. Very good.
Hi, I'm Ashley, in your local art freak. I have a business on First South and 258 East and live on Third South and 5th East, so I'm tempted on both areas. I think the reason I got into this group is because I deeply care about the safety, care and respect of all neighbors, including unsheltered neighbors as well. I just want to have a place where we can all exist, that it is enjoyable, that we're able to enjoy our environment, so.
Hey, I'm Annie and I live at the Sampson Building at Third South and Third East. It's a very small HOA and a lot of people that live there don't necessarily live there. And you know, 300 East seems to have the same issues all the way down, and on 300 East, we have more vacant buildings than occupied buildings. And there's one other apartment residence, and there's the YWCA. And so I was really actively trying to engage the other people on that block. And, the YWCA doesn't really engage, 7-Eleven doesn't engage. The owners of the vacant building don't engage. And the church and the one, business we did engage, but, they don't really have the same needs and wants for the neighborhood. I mean, they want it to be safe and clean, but there wasn't enough for us to partner together. And so some representatives at the CCNC basically sent me to an event for 2 different reasons. And it was great when I did a walk around the neighborhood with Justin, and then I went to, this meeting that Ben was leading. And I just saw there were a lot of people in the room that really, really care and want to make a difference. And that's why I want to be a part of this and help be successful, because it's really hard to be in a room of people that really care and want to contribute.
Great. And so I think we see a lot of the same themes in our lives. And there's also the growth of it on the east side of the city. Unlike a lot of the other cities like the Midwest, where we're growing rapidly, and it's also changing, putting pressure on the streets in ways that sometimes, like I said, our community doesn't always, we're not really organized to think about those things, so we don't necessarily run organized or engaged. And with that too, I think a lot of these issues go back to also, responsible government and working as partners, knowing what to do in the case like we're talking about at the beginning. So the rules of order, if you look at this top, essentially we're a very small group tonight. We have about 30 minutes. And so, just kind of run our rules of order in a very minimal sense that, if you're going to speak, we just ask you about a minute. If someone else hasn't spoken on the issue, maybe let them speak before you have something else. But really for the next 30 minutes, these 4 points is, setting the focus area now, looking at these things in the abstract. These are the things we value, reasons we're coming here. How can we turn these into, measurable goals of things that might look like success for the next year? And obviously, as the projects come up, things change, this can always be modified, but it allows us to sort of think about things that look like success. And, when I first got active in this group, obviously, like walking to Harvard and things like that, I wanted into people, started talking, then we started cleaning the block. I can call you out, but, it was nice to see someone that was also, I see you at the building, but then also see someone like further. I secretly have my own printer that I never use for Amazon as well. But, I felt kind of like a one person, I didn't really, I kind of felt nervous. I don't know why, I never actually used it. And so I feel empowered with this group. But, I don't speak to any success as myself, but, the group had issues with some buildings on 3rd East. There's 4 buildings over, I don't know, 20 units there. But it was, they weren't being responsive to the needs of the community. And, through this coalition, Austin mentioned, the larger group, the Southern City group, there was pressure put on that organization, they changed this. Incremental changes, but I think we looked at the first 6 months, we would have said, we want that building to at least make some kind of engagement change. We could point to the fact that they have a new management team built. They hired security, always, I don't know, it was like about like, I haven't seen lately, but. Yeah, but they did hire security along with the partners across the street for 6 months plus. So, look at things that are measurable, that I feel like. When we talk about the goals for the next time, for the next year, we might want to think about. And and then, like I said, when you think about the commitment that you bring to the table, and we look at the back here, things like that. Some of these things might not take more than 5-10 minutes. One of them was actually a liaison to the fire department. You know what I mean? So look at that, we already have that on safety free state. And so that might only be, you might be the one that passes out information, people want to know about chat in the neighborhood, but then you might, maybe, liaison and have maybe a quarterly meeting with the fire department. So it could be something small like that. Because when you on your time, it's just a way for you to engage, but please choose something that's interesting to you. And, again, this is all volunteer work, so I think the main thing is to know that any effort is more than what we have as a community. So what I would like to do, they have our smaller groups, and small, I would like to maybe have, I know you're standing here, but, you can maybe introduce yourself. There, yeah.
Hi, apologies for being late.
So let me just say real quick, we're just introducing where we live, name, and what drives you here, like what drives you, what motivates you to come as a person?
I care about my community. My name is Darren Peary. Kind of been a friend of Ben's and from the get-go, and I just care about where I live, and I care about the degradation that the community that I've had to live in for over 10 years. And if there's anything I can do in a positive way to help lift and elevate my area,
Right.
that's why I'm here.
Yeah, and just to kind of, that's exactly what we've been running the board and things like caring, clean streets. And things like that are exactly what we're having. So looking at the community care coalition, what I would like everyone to do just for 2 minutes on their own is look at the administration, health, safety, and buildings. And I want you just to think about what are some goals you would like to see that might be successful. Something we can measure as a group in a year's time. So come next July, we're saying to ourselves, okay, what did success look like that year? Maybe on your own, just for 2 minutes, think about for each one of these, we can come up with like one measurable goal that might be reached in this time. Okay?
For each.
For each category, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So you want administration, health, safety, buildings, question?
I just make so I'm actually reading a book right now about goals and metrics.
Yeah.
And organizations, because that's what I do in my free time. And I would suggest we consider talking. I would say we should consider talking through objectives, so like large scale, this is what we'd like to do, and maybe not on a year scale, but on a quarter.
Okay.
Making it smaller, more approachable, and then attaching, so like say, one of our goals is a safe and clean community, which we'll talk about the surface area, the focus area. So if that was an objective, how would we measure a safe and clean community? What are 2 or 3 things that we could attach to that objective that we could actually track as a problem?
I love that. So, yeah, let's look at, like, think about these as objectives and then think about the time that, right? And also think about the realistic goals of 3 months, 6 months, or a year. Some of these things might be easy ones. So, but let's take 2 minutes. Just think about this. If you don't have a pen, I actually have a pen right over there, and someone can use it. Otherwise, we have tiny little miniature golf pens. Wow, let's talk about golf and miniature golf. All right, and so I will stop talking now, and we'll get into 2 minutes. Next word, it wasn't even right, they said, reach. Here we go, 30 more seconds. So I'm at 7:47 on the clock right now. The building does close at 8, but we're allowed to be here till 8. I really want to keep our meeting till 8 o'clock. We need redemption, security, and also being in case anyone. That's just kind of my, but I think because of the size of our group, we can go around the room and just kind of answer. I am not determining what is the objectives here, I'm just facilitating. On the right now, people say everyone can have a turn. If you don't want to add anything, or you don't have any thoughts that you want to share, that's completely fine as well. We start this time, so this time we'll start in the middle, go around this. So, Ben, where are you taking it?
Again, having, you know, objectives versus goals and the differences between those, I'm kind of like a data-driven person professionally. So I really like the idea of like having some kind of metrics that we can, but a lot of these are very soft and mushy kind of ideas and hard to put like actual numbers on. But with that in mind, like, where we're talking about the health of the neighborhood, like the beauty of the neighborhood and the cleanliness, I think just being able to like have some way to ask people through like surveys, or I thought like have the mail carriers who like go to the different neighborhoods, be like, what you're buying and like what neighborhood's the best, and by doing something like kind of like with actual surveys or numbers, or you know, there's like a qualitative aspect to it, then it kind of gets kind of fun and competitive in a way that I think allows people to be drive to live in neighborhoods. Where we got like Narcan training, you know, we can talk about the number of lives that we have saved or lost, which like legitimately because of Narcan training, we have saved a life in our neighborhood. It's not insignificant. CPR training, just having like number of people it is that we've certified in a year. I think that having goals, you know, like if it's a percentage or, you know, just having numbers. And then I guess kind of the same thing on the residents, just number of cases that we've cooperated with the police on. So I think that's one of those things we have a hard time actually getting. I know I always feel like communication is real hard, but you know, we have had some really good cooperation on cases, and it would help to see that there's a number of them. Same with like the district attorney, like we can measure that the number of victims that have been, you know, helped because of this.
I think the survey, and like that, what you said, you know, and then working with, you know, the fire department or other departments to see kind of measurable statistics we have. So not just on that point, but, you know, just happen to go to some school with them, but so what kind of takeaways do you have?
Yeah, sorry guys, since I'm new to the group, I didn't do goals for the neighborhood, I don't live in this neighborhood,
Sure.
but I do feel like I serve the neighborhood. And I also care a lot, I care about the people that are there, and, you know, I want it to be clean and safe environment. So more for me, as I was looking at these, I was trying to think, how can I support you guys more? How can I use the resources that I have access to? We partner with a ton of different organizations, but segue off what you were saying there, Ben. I actually thought a good starting point would be for me to actually pull calls in these districts to see what is the theme of calls and to actually look at those numbers and that data. And that's something I could also present to the group in the future as well, which I think would be valuable. And then really, like, as ideas come up, if it's something I can help with, I will do whatever I can to help. I'm not gonna like oversell. I'm not gonna oversell something and say I can do this magic and make things be resolved. But things like Narcan training, CPR training, that's all stuff we do within the fire department. I have 150 Narcan kits right now. We go out and hand those out to whoever needs them. And provide training, or you go to Magnolia and sit down and do training and stuff, that's also in this area. So if there's things like that, please let me know, please bring them up. I can help, I can give you resources.
Right now, should we just schedule an our training, is that a thing we could do with our group, because we've talked about it on several, sorry, to interrupt.
No.
But it's kind of rushed. But if that's something that we can just right now do an action that will help us.
Yeah.
Off the top of our list, I think would be a really powerful thing, and then it could be communicated larger for a larger group. Via email later and say, hey, we want to show them at this time and date, you can get both our training or CPR or on separate days, I think would actually help our team.
Yeah, can you record that, like, just that will be like one action I can do, and we'll follow up.
And if you propose a couple of dates, then, I'll have you come to Lockstone. I'll have Riley or Dr. Plum come and do the training, and we'll have as many kids as you guys need as well.
Area, all covered, be, trained on that, if it makes no sense, or we.
You guys tell me, I don't think we would have a preference, I mean, we go there.
Yeah, that was the thing, we were, like, in us trying to get this venue, we were considering the fire department, and it was like the only fire department rooms that they had were like a ways away.
Oh,
Let's do it at Friendship. We can do it.
That would be perfect for,
I agree.
So just continuing on now, what did you write, like, what was your goals?
Well, I think that the things that we do as group activities, like the cleanups are really good, so many things as we can do that bring the group together, and then I feel like we attract other people when we're out doing it in the neighborhood. I guess there's some big players in our neighborhood that I would love, I don't know what the answer is to get them more engaged. But some of them are doing really good things already. I mean, they're right across the street from us, there's a food pantry on First South that helps people. There's both the churches in the neighborhood that I'm aware of, the First United Methodist and the Episcopalian Church support the movie nights on the really cold nights and stuff. So there's a lot of good stuff going on with some of those other folks in our neighborhood. Maybe we could get connected to them and help them or whatever.
Yeah, we can mark how often we do it, that would be right? People, how many people do we actually get to maybe engage, you know, like get signed up with our group or just get updates? And then even just engaging, like how many times have we actually reached out to the community, right? So, because again, these are groups that might or might not buy into what we're doing. But at least we can measure how many times we've reached out, so I keep that communication open. So that's right, I think a lot of these could be put out there as well, in different areas, like there's no some health.
Okay, I have a couple quick things here. Administratively, I for sure need to make the logo. I at the 6-month check-in, I want to kind of check in with everybody on our name, because I feel like with Community Care Coalition and the 3 Cs, we are kind of getting convoluted with CCNC, and it might be the time to like see at the 6-month mark whether or not this is still thing we want to move forward with. If we choose that, I will at this time make a logo for us, and I also want to make this for t-shirt designs, but we have visibility when we're doing.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Our
Yeah.
cleanup, continue to draw people in. that's a discussion, I don't know if we wanna derail and have right this instant, if you have an idea for a separate meeting, email me in, since we have all the different emails, whatever. I echo Alan and saying I would love to do maybe a once a month, like standing community cleanup meeting. Similar to our monthly meeting, but just different, maybe the third Thursday of the month or something like that. I think would be great, yes, to our kind of CPR training, and then I think as far as the buildings, there's a couple of holes I did wanna just touch on, which is. I definitely wanna make sure that things over at the Sampson building with the developers going on. Next, in the two areas next door to you, that you're supported and that we get those, changes to those projects that you're wanting to see, but then I also want some accountability from the Pauline MC Arms. MC Inn and Downey liaison, buildings, I would like to personally, and I don't know how we quantify this by any means, but. I'd like to see the cessation of human trafficking and the eviction of drug dealers in that area. Not because I wanna ruin people's lives, but actually I think that people and people deserve to interact with community members who have similar values and goals, and I would like to see the harm reduced overall in our zone, so. That's my spiel, thank you.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
Yeah.
really shouldn't be talking this much. I just wanna help if I can. The police department social team is also CCC, so I could see confusion with that.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we need donation, right?
Yeah, this would be documented, because I think that's, even just like you said, like any name that resonates, because otherwise like brand differentiation.
Yeah, it's just, you know, like, even came out of my mouth, so I apologize for already, I put us in a pickle, but. I think at this time we need to kind of differentiate between organizations and really make sure that we are in stark contrast with other orgs. I think it will help us
Yeah,
in the long term.
it's great.
So maybe if we can brainstorm and put that as an action item on the agenda for next
Yeah.
month, like having done your homework. Kind of maybe come up with two options or whatever, we'll bring them all to the group and vote on something, does that sound good to everyone? Okay, thank you.
All right, yeah.
Okay, I'm not a status driven, so, so for the administration goal. What I want is that. These roles, like Shirley already said, do use her, okay? I think it's important that if everyone could own one thing. I mean, if you wanna own two, that's great, but what am I gonna own?
Oh, that's actually on the agenda coming up.
Yeah. So in any case, if we each do at least one thing, and maybe those two things, then everybody is an equal partner in this organization, and when we go to the meeting. Whoever's facilitating can go around and say, okay, what's going on with, you know. This and what's going on with those buildings, and that's the expert at the thing, and then not one person is making it their full-time job, we're each an equal partner in this community, and so that's my goal for administration. For health, I mean, I really think there's an opportunity, and I know there's people who feel comfortable living on the street, but I would really like us to work with the government agencies to try to get more permanent housing and the right assistance for the people that we have in our neighborhood, but not in housing. For safety, I think for our group, whatever we can do over the next 6 to 12 months to greatly improve the relationship between our communities and these organizations. If we did that, I think it would really improve quality of life, and help us understand each other. And then for the building thing, kind of like what she said, you know, yeah, my block has these big questionable projects going on. But those of us who have been like practicing together what we would say at planning commission, it just seems like an opportunity, like. We learned from this one project and then we could go to another and like my goals again to year, I'd like this. Or later in 2025, going to city council. And saying, okay. how can you help us? Really organizationally with what the planning is on 300 East that's causing this to be this raceway of people that are homeless, that have drug issues and stuff. There must be something architecturally in the city that is setting this up, and how do we change it? To me, that's the goal. We start with Overland on Third, and, you know, we get better and better as partnering up as a group till we get to that group and we really strike it home.
Great. Wonderful. All right, I think, we'll take a picture of this, because I think we might pin this down a little bit, but I think that, we're getting a lot of the same ideas, like circle some things as well. Keep going.
Okay.
I would do my best to be brief, but just wanted to second the idea that counting people trained for any of these training parts under health, I think is important than just like always about a statistic. And then my thoughts around the concept of beautification, I think that generally the day-to-day cleanup feels more important to me than the once a month cleanup. It seems like generally just like trash accumulation by the hour in a lot of these areas, and not only thought of how to inspire or encourage individuals to partake is creating some sort of competition, as like Ben mentioned, people like competitions. Whether it's by, buckets as a unit or it's most off, but trying to figure out some community engagement that revolves around this competition.
I've done a fair bit of community work. But the new group, like, I'm not like a little bit cynical, but it's an effort to try to keep us actionable, and effective as opposed to a group. But I think, so like, to go off of the objective versus action items, or like progress evaluators. So looking at administration as an objective, I would like to see a consistent, productive, and engaged community, and that's my objective. But my actions that would be associated over the next 6 months to gauge progress in that would be having events that engage personal and community growth, like CPR training, Narcan, mental health first aid, something like that. Do we have those over the next 6 months? I think that shows a productive and engaged group. Having monthly meetings with an agenda, building a logo. And also I think we can gauge whether we're effective and productive if we're showing growth. So growing our group by 5 people who will become consistent members. And I say that with a caveat of someone who travels a lot for work, like consistency is challenging for me for sure. For 2 and 3, I combine them into one objective, which is a safe and clean place to live. Thinking about those monthly block cleanups, that's an action item. We could even turn one meeting a quarter into, that's just our meeting, we're going out and we're cleaning up. To make sure people are staying engaged, creating direct contacts and relationships with our emergency services. Gauging if we have those direct contacts with various emergency services, and making sure that we have a contact that we connected with at the churches and the group. We actually have a person we can contact.
Yeah, that's great.
In these organizations. And then lastly, objectives for the building. I said a diverse and inclusive group environment, just generally. And to me, that looks like a lofty goal of having one representative from every building or HOA who attends or at least we're connected with. Having one of our group represent us and attending other city council or meetings. Supporting buildings in development protection activities like public hearings to influence. Accountability for those 4A buildings, those Pauline, Embassy Farms, and that's not one that's measurable. So I think if we're going to talk about accountability for those buildings, what is an action? How are we getting that in the next 6 months? Similar to more housing options for the unhoused. These are incredible objectives, but we aren't going to take action on them unless we have a measurable. So I think if we include those as goals, we need to define how.
Okay, great. That was wonderful, and I wrote a lot of stuff on. And clean streets, you know, like the other thing I think about too is planting trees, right? I mean, so it'd be another activity, we could choose an area on a street that doesn't have a lot of treescape. And it's another kind of fun activity, kids can get involved with it too. So the clean streets as well, you know, it's that beautification that's good.
We can also request trees from the city.
Yeah.
So that's one of Austin's programs that he works on all the.
Yeah, that would be
with the city.
fantastic. So keep going, we're up to more people, we're almost at time, but I think, you know, we can pretty much get this squared away, soon. So everyone just maybe, if you can, stay just a couple more minutes late, maybe not push. But
I'm just gonna say thank you. I'm not gonna, I don't have anything to add.
yeah,
Just, I love being a part of something. I've lived in my building for going on 20 years now, and this is the first time I've been a part of something that I had actual positive.
yeah, that was me, my first thing was organizing.
I understand pinpointing goals and everything. like
Yeah.
that. Again, I apologize for being late.
Oh, no,
The only reason why I was late is because I got jumped outside my building.
Oh,
oh. Yeah,
And the only reason why I was jumped is because over a month ago, I wouldn't give some fuck a cigarette. Anyway,
no, and I think these are building community, and I mean, like I said, I love that.
so I just want to thank all of you for the positive.
Well, we
Thank you, you keep me wanting to be here, keep me wanting to come back, so.
we love having you here now.
I'm kind of like Ben, I think more in, action items than. And on the administrative side, I think having a formal agenda like this is great. I think that helps us stay on target and get things done. I also think we, have enjoyed the monthly cleanups. I think we need to formalize that.
Yeah,
And I think people in the neighborhood see the group doing it and want to help. So I think it's a great activity.
Yeah, I think the more visible we are in activities, the more.
It
so
would,
like if we
t-shirts
T-shirt.
would be terrific.
Well, let's get our names settled
Yeah.
for sure, and then I'll make something sexy for us.
Wonderful.
And if we schedule CPR and marketing trainings, I think. A goal of reaching out and connecting with food pantries and churches would be to invite them.
Great, I love that. Great.
Can I ask you guys, do you think we can stay an extra 20 minutes longer to get through this tonight, or do people have to go somewhere?
Well, we're actually just gonna get kicked out, I think.
Well, I've got a couple of varieties.
Yeah, they'll let us.
Yeah. We'll keep with Brett, but honestly, we did ask security, you can get your ticket, or if you drove a car, validate it for free, and they're here for the building, so.
Okay.
Under safety and specifically the police liaison, I went to Ben a little bit last week, and I went and met with Detective Stewart and Detective, what is it, Bitsidi yesterday. And they've committed to have a representative attend one of our meetings once a quarter, no more than that. We'll formalize it, we'll know when they're coming and when they're not. We'll ask them, we'll give them some agenda items, some things that we'd like them to address with the group and that kind of thing, and we can give them feedback as well. And they've committed to doing it once a quarter, so I think that's
Perfect,
good.
thank you, Brett.
And I think Ben had an idea last meeting, if we could do some kind of postcards to, and I'm thinking of this for buildings specifically, the MC and those, send postcards to the residents saying, we have a community neighborhood group, we'd like you to come to a meeting and see if it would be worthwhile you continuing to attend. Maybe just to get more representation, that kind of thing.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, we can follow on that with the agenda item, because Ben and I talked about the same as well. Because we work with the Central City, who is a nonprofit, and it depends on their nonprofit status. We can send out letters, and I think letters are, on postcards, are a little awkward for them, but it's 17 cents per address. So it's like really affordable, it might also be something we could get a grant, and, but we said, we get target building, send it in the mail, and at a huge, prices went up like 70 cents for a lot, so 17 cents is pretty
It's a
cheap.
good deal.
So I think we'll follow up with Austin, I wrote down the board, now, no one doesn't have to, except for me, but, most of our years, so I think this. And then in the meeting, we're really getting on, we make a little objective aspect as well, the measurable things. And so I think what we want to do is like transform this into a Google Doc, share it out, pass it along text, but basically build out, probably one goal or two goals for each one of these. Some of these, like the police liaison, that's perfect, as someone who can actually continue building that relationship. I think that in itself can be a goal for us, to build these liaisons, right? So I think if it sounds good to the group,
Excuse me, let me just throw out
yeah,
one more idea that I had written down. Maybe we ask for a couple of representatives from this group to go meet with the property manager, the new property manager.
Yeah,
before.
I would say that.
new property manager of the,
And we don't all have to go, and not just,
No, I-
but a couple of us.
I think if it's more than just one of us, that would help.
I just,
Which one has the new property manager, the board?
yeah.
And from what we hear, the rumors are that he's good and that he cares and that there's some real changes that are happening, and it's gonna take a while for those changes to take effect over, long term, but we were kind of, like you were talking about them having security for a while, and we were kind of like blacklisted as a group by their security because we made them look bad. So that's where, Austin also, he was really good with us getting some of those media connections and Darren doing those interviews and then taking a look at those units. I think is probably the single most impactful thing that we had was bringing them to some level of accountability, even though they didn't quite measure up to be accountable yet. Like it's a work in progress. I think if we got together as a group and kind of just got their official approval, like met face to face, it would help a lot.
So looking at the time, it's 2 after, I got a lot of things right on the board. What I'd like to do is be as transparent as possible, because I think everyone contributed to really great stuff. I think that if I go home and work with a small group, to organize this stuff, put some things into objectives, send that out, if anyone needs a text or a conversation about it in person before next meeting, to sort of create that objectives, so people then can get feedback. We have a little bit of feedback at the next meeting, but then we can approve these goals next time, so that's what we have. And that would allow us, to go forward over the next year, our year would be July to the next July. Would that work for everybody? And anyone that obviously, and this is like work, right? Anyone who wants to be on the committee, who wants to be more involved and just kind
Well,
of.
so I think it's really important before we leave this room that everyone goes around and says.
Oh, no, this is just tying up the goals. So I was still gonna talk about roles and also this.
Okay.
Yeah, so I wanted to put, I was talking corporate speak, like, if you know, the committee, but, we're in the parking lot, but we're gonna sort of, get to the point where we can, like, norm it and have the main objectives for everyone to see and provide additional feedback. But feel like we kind of agreed on a lot of these objectives, if you can make it right. Does anyone have any objections to that? Any concerns or questions?
Please do it.
That's all great. So looking at the board tonight, not everyone's here. So we basically got Hollywood is like LA. I mean, it's so densely populated here. And then you go down, we got, HOA, and then Darren, you're right there next to it. I can, I'm right next to you. And then down here, Andy, and then of course, we've had folks come as well, from this. So we're really saying 2, but just based on who's been here and things like that, does anyone have any objections having 1 south and 30 stopping here as the general perimeters of our group? Obviously, if there's, more infrastructure, number 2 is this lonely block, right? Maybe some, a couple of residents there. Would anyone have any objections to kind of keeping that as a group of who we're targeting and talking to on the streets?
does that mean that we, like, there are some big residential buildings similar to ones we're in along 200 East, does that mean we wouldn't like send them a letter, like the Metro? That other
Yeah,
one that's
a great question.
up there,
Perhaps it goes between second and third south, between fourth south and first south. Like kind of that little chunk that all around all three of those.
Yeah, I have an opinion too, but I'm just facilitating, so I want to know if anyone else has any other opinions or thoughts on that, because I think it's a very good point.
I mean, we get a lot of outreach from, and we had outreach come from Glendale, you know, through like the mayor's office, through, like, we've had outreach come from the Oka restaurant just this last week. We were dealing with like the,
You don't have the restaurant that's on one south, that's on the other side.
yeah, so it's just right off the
Yeah.
edge of the port there. But then also the Chateau Normandy and the homes that are over there with the Southern Utah Wilderness Alliance.
This is part of that's gonna be right in here, yeah, right here, but then they're almost, what I see.
So I guess my point is that it's really tempting to just. Like, let's help wherever it is that we can help, but I also understand that kind of takes us off of focus, so. I think one of the responsibilities that, you know, where we've got somebody that's gonna liaise with like the CCNC. It makes sense that we don't lose sight of the fact that I think that we can serve as a blueprint that will help in other areas, you know, like. I don't know exactly how to tell Glendale how to do what we've done,
Sure.
but it seems that other people are looking at what we've done, that it has a lot of value.
I would argue that outreach and engagement are different topics, and that we can narrow where our outreach is while maintaining openness to.
That's
anyone
very
who
fair.
Wants to come to us and engage, right?
Because I think that's where a lot of things fall short too, is that you
Yeah.
get the outreach and then the
Yeah.
engagement falls short.
Yeah.
Because we are focused here.
Yeah, I think to your point, like, especially if this building right here, is a very large building, and if we saw engagement, where people are showing up constantly like we are. Then it's a larger discussion, but, you know, we've had folks from buildings over, near Fort East come once, and then we don't hear from them, right? And so, you know, we're not just advocating for them, we're also a building community, and so I think that would be. You know,
This group could be a good example though, and if folks from Northeast want to do the same thing, they could form their own group using this as a model. And I think we could be more effective if we're focused on a smaller geographic area personally.
so I guess, Brian, I'm curious for your opinion, should we include 200 East? Or just say it's like 300 East and the blocks coming to the left of that?
My opinion would be to include blocks 1, 2, and 3. Both,
But.
which
so-
would include Second East and Third East.
We do large scale events that we have to block out areas of the city. And we have to be really intentional about not drawing a line on the road. Because part of that community is the houses on both sides of the road. So instead drawing a line on property line. So where we're looking at 300 East, we're not gonna say, oh, the people on that side of the street don't matter, but this side do.
Yeah.
We can say the properties on 300 East are part of it.
And that's smart, because I mean, even when we had the issue of the ambassador program, right? They're trying to say, at one point, now they changed it, but, oh, that is it, you know what I mean? Even though it says 30, they say, oh, actually, it's the middle of the block. So, you know, because that's not downtown technically over here, I think on the.
So
Only
essentially,
on 30s.
it would be, and I'm not actually gonna write on it, it's gonna be y'all, like this. Oh, sorry, I almost skipped a block, not necessarily this, because this is not residential in any capacity. On this line, we could actually do north south, right? And then this way. Back up to here. Okay,
I think that's targeted while also including, but not making
Yeah.
arbitrary selection.
Okay.
So I think that's a good suggestion.
All right, great, so, do I hear a motion now? So I think that sounds like a consensus, and again, thanks so much, and Ben and me for bringing this is very helpful. So I think that kind of brings it, and again, like I said, we're always happy to negotiate this, it's not a hard line, engagement with different other buildings and community.
But we could also like include that in letter and then people will say, ooh, we're part of the area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's good. All right, so now that we've kind of gone through all this, the kind of, it's kind of come to sort of discuss, you know, what we might want to actually do. I do have a couple papers where you can sign up for one of these duties. Now, what do these duties all entail? We're only 6 months into this group, so we don't really know, you know? I don't think it's gonna have to be a huge commitment, but again, I think that some of these things, you know, it's like anything else, it's, you can define it if you're the person doing it. To some degree, so don't think that this is gonna be a huge, you know, lift for everybody, but there's more people to speak. The one thing I want to highlight in the paper, I think our young friend here may have been drawing. So I'm not sure we have those, oh, no, those are still good. So the interest form again is it's only our interest.
Verbalize it, because there's so many people in the room and a couple of people have already said what they were gonna do.
Yes, you can definitely do that, and then afterwards, you can put your name on it, just for it in the notes side. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that's completely fine. I don't think we're gonna fill all the goals, but that's one of the goals we have, you know? How many organizations do you see that have like the missing board members, et cetera? And so one of our goals, I think, maybe next year is just getting more of this engagement.
Well, and I think we can break this down, like, not every sub bullet needs to be, right, like, we don't need someone who's just doing intervention training or training for CPR training, that can be part of the events, social community event part of the plan.
Yeah, I think when we look at the hub.
Well, so to that, I wanna
Yeah.
say to Ashley there, do you see things in here that you'd like to combine and make your role?
I am hesitant because I'm on multiple boards and I travel for work a lot, so I'm not sure. But I do think that there are things that can be combined into roles that remain the same length. So, but I do, what I've heard, let's maybe talk about what we've heard. I've heard that logoing and branding is something she's interested
Yeah, so she put it on the form.
in. Okay.
I don't think we're quite ready for a social media lead. I'm not sure that our group is to the point where we need to have social media engagement. In fact, I think it may even do us a service to be somewhat more quiet, and just hyper local in our neighborhood at this time. I don't think that there's like a huge need unless we're like,
Well, we do have the Facebook page that is invite only, so it's not like general public.
if that's the case, this maybe needs to say Facebook group lead as opposed to social media.
Right, because
I-
it kind of got
that
spread.
It's
yeah.
kind of a big umbrella versus this very specific role, which is to moderate the Facebook group, right?
Sure, you're going to also social media or something like that, but, you know, people get their news, like they'll learn about the event because of that, I think that's great, but. The one thing that, you know, COVID has really taught me is that there's nothing better than actually, especially in your neighborhood, like knowing someone by name and being there. Cause I've been talking to a colleague who works in a different state for 3 years, and I don't feel like I know them.
Totally.
You know what I mean? So I feel like that's the other thing, if we use it as like an announcement for our events, but it's really more about being able to say like, you know, on the block, hey, you know, I know you, I recognize you, how's your family, et cetera. I think that's the point we're trying to emphasize in the group is that hyper locality, right?
Totally.
Well, have you found a meeting facilitator?
Justin, is that you now?
Well, I think so, but I mean,
I think it should be you, Justin.
I agree.
okay,
So we're gonna put
Great, so
Justin.
we got that one.
that's an important speech, hold on.
Yeah, I rather do it like this than have a phone.
I agree. So what is it meant by the admin for rules of order?
I think it's also you, Justin.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that, you know, maybe for that, like, I'm just gonna be, cause right now, like today, like, I was up on the board and kind of like, you know, get everyone's opinion. But that could just be, you know, like, taking the minutes, you know, like, keeping people on track on the agenda.
I think minutes and agenda maker could be the same.
Yeah, that's the case, we will need a secretary, because I'll be facilitating, so if anyone wants to take minutes or things like that.
Is there anything we can like just record? Like I know in the past, Brandy has like an AI component that creates.
Yeah, the Zoom will be doing it too.
Yeah, Zoom makes it,
Meeting minute maker is a machine. Versus.
Well,
Yeah, it's just there have been times when we haven't had the meetings be recorded. And
Okay,
so then it was kind of nice to have somebody who was taking
So
notes.
Okay.
we can do the minute, throw in chat GPT and say it's our meeting was, you know, what I mean?
But, you know, sometimes we could spend a fair amount of time on the agenda.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like,
That sounds good, and of course, obviously, these are things we can think about as well, but I think, yeah, streamlining minutes. And frankly, with this kind of community group, I think the meeting with minutes is just, who are we contacting after the meeting, and like, what are we doing next time?
Yeah.
It's less about, yeah, because if you don't show up, like, you know, if you're at meetings and things like that, the main thing, I think, is just for people to know when's the next meeting and like cleanups and then we have to get back into the group, it's not too formal. So looking at the other, any other like liaison.
Would the guy who is part of the CCNC be the liaison? For the CCNC?
That's a good
I
question.
mean,
He's on the CCNC.
So he's not our liaison necessarily because he's intermittent and his attendance of our typical monthly meeting. I would say what that role is more about is like someone from our squad who directly communicates with Austin and his squad.
I go to all of the CCNC meetings and honestly, like, they've been calling on me as though I'm a board member, but I'm not, so.
So you think you're part, yeah, you can.
I can facilitate.
Then liaison to CCNC.
And, I would volunteer to be the police liaison.
That'd be great.
So let's just put that as J.
Could you please stand by?
so it's on the next. page.
Sure, I could do the police.
And if someone's taking minutes on this, now, I don't believe you assume AI on this one.
Is anyone taking that?
You do whatever you want. You want to be the secretary?
We got the videos.
I
from
don't
another
know.
meeting.
Oh.
Well, that's it, that's what it is. How accurate are we with the tag?
About, you know, thing with the data and the policy aspect, so that might, if you're interested, you know, or you just, you know, you learn to get more about that. So it could be something that's going on.
One time, I'm little thinking that, like, helping put events on the calendar would be something that I could do. But I am right now a little hesitant to take on something specific. given
Yeah.
my load.
That's fair enough, I mean, I'm not like, you know, it's worse in the city as well, you know, it's useful.
But you know what, it's once a month, and if you can't be there, you can just send like an email text, hey, this is what I want shared at the meeting.
I was gonna say to that point, I think agenda maker, I did like the format that we did prior to the meeting, like on a Tuesday before or Monday before we have our Thursday meeting. Just asking for agenda items or whatever, I think the collaborative effort on like how we wanna steer this ship together is a really like powerful
Yeah.
tool for us. Also, on topic A of being location coordinator, Brent is nail the costs down to one quarterly meeting and know that it's going to be March, and
Yes.
June, and September, and December. We don't, that job is fully nullified and that like, we can have them at my studio all other times before me to be here. All that, but nullify somebody's job, like, we don't need as much manpower in that, like. If
It's-
you would help nail them down for that.
Absolutely, and then, yeah,
Get rid of that.
that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, I think that's good, and it's better that, and then we could even reserve these. Locations.
And maybe we keep this reservation so we can do like a food get together. We were talking about
Sweet.
food, you know,
Which is fine.
we can, like I said, I think we can definitely use more than one event per month. And,
Yeah.
and a trash cleanup call. We can definitely do more than that now.
Okay,
Yeah.
Right. Bill, when it comes to the liaison for your buildings, would that, I know that's it or not, but thinking about like updates or anything like that, or, you know, just, you know, like management changes or anything we do, or.
I'm just learning the management changes right now.
Yeah,
Would you be interested in like officially representing our group to the management where you live?
That would be no problem.
Okay,
wonderful.
I have actually met him now. And,
that's more than I think. any rest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
and apparently he does. He seems to be more engaged than old management. When he's there, he does take the chain Over the gate.
Yeah.
I know, baby steps, baby.
Accessibility is huge.
Yeah, it seems to be a lot more engaged than, what was going on before.
Right.
And, so I'm learning him and I kind of want to be a. No, this is good news, so as long as you don't, I know, but I have no problem with, representing the group to him.
Okay.
Thank you.
And you know, I think we'd like to do like a group introduction with the community.
Absolutely.
But maybe it can be formed where before we knew it was a good end,
Yeah.
so.
So, you know, we were in a small group here, obviously, if you call and every single person asks what they do, but I just want to open up one last time, if you know, interested in one of those positions. There is other people who get to attend today, so we can also reach out via email and talk. So.
So I don't know what it is, sorry.
Oh, yeah, actually, so we talked briefly about, when it comes to coordinating multiple meetings and where they could be facilitated. And then Dylan had mentioned about being a liaison to the buildings that he was, the group of buildings.
Dylan,
Different.
Darren,
Darren, yeah, well, you know.
Okay, Darren. okay, and I.
Probably whatever you want.
No,
I thought I wasn't in the group, I thought I was talking about Dylan.
No, there's no, name for it, so I was.
There's another deal.
Right, so, yeah, so did anyone else have any other positions they're interested in?
Well, I'll look into, unless there's somebody that already has expertise in this, the process by which you would mail postcards out to, you know, all the addresses.
That'd be great.
And then make it possible, I think there might be some grants from somewhere in Salt Lake. We've talked about that before.
Mhm.
Small micro type grants for
Okay, great.
run something like that. I'll look into that.
Right, and then that we coordinated with, the Center City group with that, so yeah.
Okay.
Because like, we're not nonprofit, well, it's not like the Gale State, we have to do that.
Well,
Well, I think technically we are like. We've been accepted as a. Extension of the CCNC, which is definitely a nonprofit organization,
Okay.
so as far as like, you know, having access to those resources, like. As far as the IRS stuff goes, yeah, we're totally good, but as far as coordinating it all administratively, that's what we gotta work.
Great.
you know. There's a bunch of us that are doing a few things. So I'm like looking into the things that I'm actively doing. I don't know, you know, someone is gonna volunteer to do something. But obviously I'm kind of at the moment alone on block 3, so. I'm gonna put myself as liaison for projects on block 3 and then also. Reviewing the agendas for planning commission and the SLC council, so we know. When stuff's coming up affecting our area.
Sounds great, thank you.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Okay, well, as the official facilitator for this meeting, I guess, as being a finisher of this, our objective is to synthesize this. You know, again, we're looking to grow the organization, you know, so when it comes to these positions, you know, this will be a continuous thing we'll talk about, but. Just trying to find community members who haven't been here before, you know, and